All right, this is Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. Quick video here for you we're going to talk about dealing with debt after divorce. And we're going to talk about, should you pay a debt collector using your debit card? This is a question that some people have asked me in the comments section. And I want to go over it because there's a lot of misconceptions about it. A lot of people have not actually done this. They make videos all about it, but they haven't had to pay a debt collector for a client. They're just making videos, picking topics and making videos. We've actually dealt with this, hundreds of thousands of dollars settled for our clients, and utilizing either cashier's checks, debit account, or a checking account with the numbers. I can tell you straight up that there is a section in the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act that actually speaks to this. There was an issue way back in the past. I'm talking about way back, probably the 1990s and the 1980s. Some of you wasn't even born at that time, where there was an issue where debt collectors would call you and they would be like, okay, if you want to show good faith, you could give us these post-dated checks. And they would like have post-dated checks for like 2 weeks, a month, or some people would even give them post-dated checks for months out at a time, and they would deposit them early, and there was a big issue on that. That's probably where the whole that's the root of the whole story on giving your account information, because there were some unscrupulous debt collection companies that would just put in all the checks. And I think even in the video that I made way back, I had even spoke on that, because we did not allow our clients to send to pay by debit card or utilizing their check. I had made a video way back, but that was from experience from myself. I had never had a client that had utilized that had any problems, but I was that was something that personally I had went through, not where they were just depositing the checks. I just did not feel comfortable when I was having those dealings back in the 90s when I was getting myself out of debt. So I had made a video when I had started putting videos up on YouTube where I just said, don't do that. And that was from my own personal experience. Not that I had any issues. It was just from my own personal experience. And then I had did some research, and I had saw that in the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act that they were stating about that you should not, that a debt collector cannot deposit checks in there that were post dated. And so I was thinking, okay, there must have been some issues in the past with it. And then some that I had learned from doing additional research, that an update to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act and the CFPB Consumer Financial Protection website, that they had updated it stating that they cannot even take post-dated checks that are more than 5 days out. So if you give them a check, it needs to be cashed within 5 days, and they can't do it early also. That's actually written in there. So let me bring it up because they made some updates. So it says here, accept a check or any instrument post-dated more than 5 days unless the collector notifies the consumer in writing of any intentional deposit of the check instrument. So they cannot post-date that. They cannot cash that check before the post-dated period without notification, without asking, say, hey, we got that post-dated check, or are you ready to go ahead and have that cashed? So, and then now to speak on, should you use your checking account or debit card to get rid of, to pay the debt when you make a negotiation with a debt collection company? Let me just tell you from experience, the way that we do it, and this is so it can expedite everything, because, you want this stuff done and over with. For the higher amounts, we've always told people, send a cashier's check for the higher amounts. The reason why I feel on that is because if you have the money, like we did a settlement for $20,000 on a $59,000 account, and then there was another one I think that was $100,000, and it was settled for $10,000. We just said, if you got more than that in your account, way more than that, or more than that in your account, I just felt comfortable having them do cashier's checks. For the lower amounts, 1, 2, 3,000, we told with a debit account, we were like, hey, we could just get this done and over with. But what we did for all of them, what we did is we made them send over the agreement. So there's a signed agreement, and then you usually have a 10-day window to fulfill that agreement. And so we walked that through the whole process with the agreement. Client signs it, debt collector signs it, or the original creditor signs it, signs off on it. 10-day window to get the funds over, and we just hurry up and get the funds over. If it's for the smaller accounts, we'll do a three-way call with the client and the debt collector on there, fulfill that obligation, all done and over with. They're not gonna try to take more money than they're supposed to. You got a signed agreement. So also with some people, if you go to your bank, some banks give you a free cashier's check or a free money order. Some of them charge you $8. So this could be a way to not have that additional fee added on to the transaction for processing that. And to some people, $8, $10, $12, whatever your bank charges, that to some people that additional fee is a lot. And then also, let me tell you from experience how this works. This is how the us as humans work when it comes to paying something. It's like you don't want to pay an extra fee on something. It's like you're already settling. Maybe you're paying $1,200, and that extra $12 that you have to pay, sometimes that takes a person over the edge. It's like you already didn't want to deal with this, and then now you got an additional fee added on top of it. I just know how we are as humans. I've dealt with some things where there was a transaction, not even for this. It was just a transaction on something that I was buying. Oh no, it was for a service where we had to get something done at our home, and because of the that Supreme Court ruling on where they can't charge these fees. The credit card companies can't pass on these fees to businesses. Businesses can now say, if you're going to use a credit card, we're going to have an additional fee. And I was like, God, man, I got to pay additional fee on top of this. And it was like, it made me not want to do business with that company. But I understand that they got to, these credit card companies charge a lot of fees. Even with people who do business with us with the credit repair shop, and they're using their debit card or their credit card for the transactions, we get hit with this huge fee at the end of the month. And I'm like, are we even making as much as we think we're making? Because we get hit with those fees, and I don't pass those on to people. But I feel it. And so a person, when they're doing a settlement, and then they say, well, we are going to add, you want to go get a cashier's check and you have to pay that additional fee. Those little bitty fees, they just hit us all in different ways. So, but if you're using your debit or credit card, you wouldn't have to worry about that fee when taking care of that settlement. So don't worry about that. If you get it in writing, you're not going to have to worry about that. Now, if you're dealing with a debt collection firm that you're not really familiar with, we've probably dealt with almost every company that's national and locally, and that's only a regional or state level. But if you don't feel comfortable with them, then yes, you should go ahead and just pay that extra fee, get a cashier's check or a money order, and submit that. You get everything in writing. You'll be done and over with and all good. If you're a client of ours and we tell you to do it, you could bet your bottom dollar that we've done the research, and we wouldn't have you do that settlement unless we felt comfortable that payment was going to be utilized for what it is and that it was done and over with. Now let's talk a little bit about divorce and debt. had a not a client, but someone that I had done some actually just had a meeting, a business meeting with, and they experienced a divorce, and were reaching out. I've actually had several clients that are like millionaires, multimillionaires, reach out to me, and they were talking about how to deal with debt after they got divorced. Because one of the biggest misconceptions that I see when people get divorced is they think that when that divorce happened and the judge says, this is what you take care of, this is what you take care of, that the creditor sees it that way and that the creditor is notified. No, the creditor is not notified that you got a divorce. Creditor looks at it like this: you owe it and you owe it and you pay us, and if we can't get in touch with you, either the ex-husband or the ex-wife, if we can't get in touch with you, we're going to go contact the spouse to pay it all. We don't care. We want our money. And this is something that I don't even know why attorneys that deal with divorces don't tell their clients to do this. Maybe it's because they're just focused on dealing with the divorce and they're not into dealing with this. But this is something that I've helped people deal with. And I know this is like, if you have debts and you got divorced, this is something that you're going to be dealing with. And if you don't have an attorney that is used to dealing with this, they will just leave you out there stone cold. And I have got clients or associates in business that are multi-millionaires that were left out in the cold when it came to this. And they came and consulted with me, and I told them what I'm about to tell you. When you get divorced, and that judge says this is what's split and this is yours, this is your, and you're left with all of these debts, and then all of a sudden debts are coming in from your spouse, coming into you, and they're saying like, you owe this. And you're like wondering, when is this going to be over? I got divorced and it seemed like this, I'm still married because the debt collectors or the original creditors, everybody is hitting me. Let me tell you one of the first things that you should do, and this is the advice that I gave my associates and also clients of ours that are experiencing this, is that you need to notify your creditors that you are divorced. And you might be thinking, well, why should I notify the creditors that I'm divorced? Because they're coming at you for the debt as if you're married, as if nothing has happened. They don't know what's going on. They just know that these debts are not getting paid. Because when you were fighting with each other before you got divorced, you probably both stopped paying everything. And even if you did pay everything and you're left with everything and you're like, hey, I'm taking care of everything here, but I got new stuff hitting me now. Because one of the spouses is sending stuff in your name, or either racking up new debts. So the first thing is that you need to notify the creditors that you are divorced. Now, any new debts that are coming in your name after that date of the divorce, you need to notify that creditor, send it certified mail that this stuff is not being done with your permission. In my state of Wisconsin, any new credit put in your name, if they don't know you were divorced, they're going to really think that you're still married. They have to notify that spouse. And for some reason, it slips through, and new credit can be added in your name without you even being notified. So you have to notify them. You can send them a copy of the divorce when it was actually processed and done and over with. Send every one of those creditors for new debt, saying you're not responsible and that you did not sign off on it, and you want them to send you any paperwork that you have to get notarized or their processes or whatever to say that you are not responsible for that debt. Don't let that just hang out there and think that it's just going to resolve itself, because it won't. And then for the debt that you did incur when you were married, you need to notify each of the creditors. You need to notify each of the creditors that you are divorced. Send it to them, and they will get a representative with you on the phone, or you can call them up, and then you notify them that you are divorced. And then you tell them, I want to start settling on my half, my portion. The judge gave my spouse the other half. I want to start talking about my half. And you need to see what will be the potential options to be able to do that. And from every situation that I've seen, is that the creditor will start to understand what is going on, and that they will give options to be able to split off what you have. Most will. I won't say 100%, because nothing is 100%, but I will tell you from doing that strategy right there, if you want to call it a strategy, notifying the creditors, divorce, proven divorce, I want to start talking about what I can do with my portion of the debt, and that they will start to talk. You never know. They might say, hey, on your we'll just settle it. If you're willing to pay half, we will just settle on it. I've had that happen for clients, and I know, and I've had this happen with the men and with women. So it ain't one of those about, well, the man's going to end up paying everything. I've had this even happen with the women. I've had it happen with women that were being abused, domestic violence. They ended up with the debt. They were coming after them. They did not want to have a situation where they contacted the ex-husband, and they were like, Steve, what can I do? I said, you contact them and you tell them your situation. And even though this debt was $5,000, and you say, I do not want him to be contacted, can I do a settlement on this? And they said, we will settle on they cut it down the middle and said, we will start negotiating with you down the middle on this half, as long as you prove everything that you're telling us. And that actually, this is what they did, is that they settled on her portion, and they didn't even go after to even wake up anything with the ex-spouse, understanding her specific situation. But none of this can happen. None of this can happen unless people get to start talking. And when you're going through a divorce, that's emotional. When you're going through and get hit with the debt, that's emotional. When you're figuring out what you got to do to be able to move forward, that's emotional. And that's why a lot of this stuff, it's like even people who are multimillionaires, who are thinking mind people, can't even really think during this process, because emotion is above education. You will make moves on things that you get emotional about over things that you know that you're educated about with making the right decision. You will do that. And we will all do it. That's why I always tell people, and I even do this for myself, is that there got to be a period where you just calm your mind. Calm your mind, slow down the emotions, and then start to think, and then start to figure out what could be possible solutions. Every possible solution does not work, but you come in your own mind, what are the possible solutions? Will this work? Will that work? Will that work? And you will see that something is going to come about to work. It might be a combination of what they tell you, what they can do, and what you're able to do. You just never know. You never know. That's why I say you just got to work your way through it. All right, if you need help with your credit, please visit us at creditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, What Makes Us Different, so you can see my 8-point validation process and my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website, your3scores.com. The links are below this video. If you have debt collectors coming after you early, grab my 3-pack of letters. I do ask for a donation on those. It can save you time, money, and frustration. If you have any of the issues that I talked about, go to my website and go into the live chat and briefly write out what you're going through. I will be in there to answer those questions personally. And if it's something that we need to do a consultation on, I will let you know what my fee is to do that consultation, where you will have my undivided time for 30 minutes to 1 hour. Thank you for your time. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel.